Examples G, H, and I, again, you can see they're continuous lines. They're not discrete separate points. So we'll circle continuous for all three of these again. So the next thing you're going to notice when we go to do our domain, which would be our inputs of x's, and we go to the left to see the last x that we see placed in, what we find is an arrow. And what this arrow tells us is that it's going continually out forever and ever and ever. So it doesn't tell us that it's going to stop at that point. It tells us that for every there's going to be an input for every one of these x's going all the way out to the left. So wherever I go, I'm going to be able to plot a point. So it's going to keep going forever to the left. And the same thing, you see to the right, it's got the arrow. It does not stop there. That indicates that it will keep going forever. Also to the right. So when I talk about the domain, it goes from from the left to the right. Now we can call this, we can say that it's going towards negative infinity, which means that it's going forever to the left. This side would be a positive infinity, which is everything to the right. So one way I could write this is all x's such that it goes from negative infinity is less than x is less than infinity. Now the other thing about infinity is it's not a number, so it can't be equal to it. It's a description that it goes forever to the left and forever to the right. Another way to write that, you can see the whole number lines being covered, is that I could say that it's all real numbers. Same thing on this F or H. When I see that, you can see that even though it looks a little different from this one, I still have on the left side an arrow indicating that it's going to go forever to the left, and an arrow on the right indicating that it's going to go forever to the right. It will have the same answer for the domain there. And the same thing on example I. The left side is an arrow, meaning it's going to go forever to the left. Right side is an arrow, meaning it's going to go forever to the right. And that's going to have the same domain as G. I'm not going to write it again. So again, but it looks like this. And it's the same as G. For range, we go from bottom to top. Now, for the first one, for G, the lowest number that is output is actually this spot right here. So it's actually a number, so -1. So when I do my range, so y is such that I'm going to have a -1 is the lowest one. It's less than or equal to, there's no open dot there, y. But then at the top, you see the top also has the arrows, the highest thing covered. So it's going to be less than, and up here, this is going to be positive infinity, and this is negative. So the lowest is negative infinity, the highest is positive. So it's going to be less than positive infinity. Another way to write that is that y is greater than or equal to -1. Let me see that. Here it's these y's right there going up with an arrow right there. So y is greater than or equal to, you can't see that, can you? Move that up. So y such that, a bigger line, -1 is less than or equal to y is less than infinity, which could be simplified to y is greater than or equal to -1. I will take either one of those answers. On the second one, on example H, when I talk about the y values, the lowest one is right here. And it's an arrow indicating that it's going all the way to the bottom. It's going to keep going forever. So that means it's going to negative infinity. So for our range, we'll put that we have negative infinity is less than y. And then the top one is also an arrow. The highest one is an arrow as well. So is less than infinity. So remember that it's going to cover the whole y axis. And again, we could put all real numbers for this one. And the range on the last one, when we look, the lowest one is the circle right there with the arrow. So that means it's going to negative infinity. So for the range, it's y such that negative infinity is less than y. But it doesn't, even though there's an arrow here, it's going down. The highest point is this one which is going to, let's see, what is that? 4. So it's going over towards 4 right there. So it's going to be less than or equal to 4 because that's not an open dot, so it's a closed dot. And it looks like that. We could simplify that to y is less than or equal to 4. Either one of those answers is acceptable.